Tennessee WildCast is live on the air with the latest on hunting, fishing, boating, and all things outdoors. Make welcome your host, drummer and outdoor expert novice, Jason Harmon.
Hey everybody. Welcome to this edition of Tennessee WildCast. I'm Jason Harmon, and pretty excited about today's show. We are at the Highland Sportsman Club, and you can hear the fire cracking in the background. That's pretty cool. A great location. We're in Hickson, Tennessee, Highland Sportsman's Club, and we appreciate them having us here on this location. And I've got some great guests with me today. It's going to be an awesome show. Just to highlight, we got Mr. John Torchick. He's a hunter instructor for the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, and he lives in the Region 3 area, works out of the Region 3 here. And Mr. Keith Watson, he's also an instructor, and he's a member of the Sportsman's Club here at in Hickson. So great to have them. And then right next to me is Mr. Matt Clarey. He's one of our hunter ed instructor coordinators, and he's an officer and jack of all trades.
That's
so
right.
Glad to have him, and glad to be in the Region 3 area. Normally you see Mimi standing here when we're in her neck of the woods, but Matt's filling in for her today.
Yeah, a little bit taller and less good looking, but we'll deal with it.
Yeah, I'm having to deal with that, so
yeah.
That's part of it. Anyway.
I second the motion.
I can already tell this is going to be a great show. I met these guys earlier today, and they're great folks, and I've known Matt for a long time, so it's going to be a fun show. And we're going to talk mainly about Hunter Ed today, but first I want to get to know these guys, and start out right here with Matt. Matt has been with the agency since about 1999 or something like that, right?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, 99 I started as an officer in Polk County. Interesting part of the world. It was a good training county, and had fun down there for a couple of years, and then ended up transferring to Roane County as an officer. And I heard down the road that Don Crawford, who was the hunter ed coordinator at the time, was getting ready to transfer out to Nashville. So I was interested in the position, so put in for it and ended up getting it, and with just under 4 years of experience as an officer. So I've been in the hunter ed program ever since 2003. So I got a few years under my belt doing that, and also part of this job is the boating safety program, and then also a small part, but another important part of this position is also law enforcement training. So I get to help train our officers in the region as well as statewide. Gotcha.
So how'd you get introduced in the outdoors? Did you grow up hunting and fishing, or?
Yeah, pretty much. My father was my mentor essentially, but that's what we did. In the summertime, I was on my bike with my fishing rod going down to the local fishing place or fishing pond or creek or stream. And the weekends, me and Dad were in the woods. So from then on, up into my teenage years, I was following him around. Mainly up in Michigan is where I grew up. Moved down to Tennessee and kept with it. Got in college and ended up getting into wildlife and just love it. So.
Cool. So my next question was education. So did you go to college here in Tennessee?
Yeah, Tennessee Tech up in Cookeville.
Cool.
Got my wildlife degree there, and got hired 6 months out of college, which was really lucky for that too.
Yeah, those are valued positions and hard to get. That's a lucky
Most
move.
guys usually have to wait a while to get in. So we had a big group, and had a lot of positions open. So we had a little more easier time to get in. But we did have we got into there and had a good time with that, and ended up, like I said, being in Polk County first position.
Awesome. All right, well, let's move on over to John. John, he's a hunter ed instructor and been with the agency for a long time. He's kind of working with the agency for a long time, but he's you got this show spurred on and had an interest on coming on the show, and I appreciate you reaching out to us. And but John's been a certified instructor since 2000, right?
2000, yes.
So tell us a bit about your background. How did you get introduced to the outdoors, and what brought you to Tennessee and to become a hunter ed instructor?
Well, I was raised on a dairy farm south of Columbus, Ohio, and my father had one farm about 2 miles down the road, my uncle's farm. And we had a lot of rabbits, pheasants, and squirrels. So growing up there, off time during the hunting seasons, we were out in the fields or the woods. Mm-hmm. I got my first BB gun when I was 6, which makes it an antique now.
Oh, yeah.
And I was 10, got my 410 shotgun. And boy, I was really kicking along there. And we would go, my dad, my uncles and cousins, we would all go get together and go hunting. And that's how I got started in it. We moved out of state, kind of got out of the habit of hunting, and got hooked up with the Cleveland Hunting Rifle and Pistol Club there in Cleveland and helped with a Hunter Ed class. And so I asked the fellows there, what do I need to do to get involved? And so they told me the procedure. I had to go through the class itself, make an application for certification. In the year 2000, went to the certification class at Crossville, and here I am. And I'm proud to say that a couple years after that, my son was certified. So we're kind of a family tradition.
Runs in the family.
But yeah, well, it doesn't run. It kind of gallops. But it's been a lot of fun. My son has been very, very involved in it. His thing is the Chapter 5 in the manual of the firearms and ammunition. That's his thing.
Yeah.
So, and I've got some grandkids that are growing up, getting into the outdoors, shooting sports, things like that.
That's great.
I'm real busy and got a lot of responsibility, and it's been a lot of fun to watch them grow up and see their interest in the outdoors.
Right. Real quick, highlight some of the awards. You'd sent me a list, but like 2009, 2014, and some other recognitions in the Hunter Ed world.
Well, it was like 2007. I actually looked at the plaque. I guess I misread it or something. I might not have had my glasses on.
Yeah.
2007, I was honored to have the Hunter Education Instructor of the Year by TWRA for Region 3. I got the Grand Slam in 2014.
Awesome. Yeah.
I was highly honored. I was Region 3 Instructor of the Year. Instructor of the Year for the state of Tennessee, and was also honored by the Tennessee Wildlife Federation Instructor of the Year.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We appreciate you doing.
Well, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun. I've got a class coming, an online class coming up February 16th. So we got everything lined up, ready to go.
All right, awesome. I know Matt appreciates you as well.
Heck yeah, that's what this whole program is run by. Is guys like John and Tennessee has some great volunteers. And
right.
We really wouldn't have a good of a program if it wasn't for our guys.
These are the real Tennessee volunteers.
That's true. That's the truth.
We wear camo, not orange.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on down the line. Keith Watson. He's also a Hunter Ed instructor and a member of the Highland Sportsman's Club here. So tell us a little bit about your background.
Good morning. I was listening to John's story, and I've got to kind of break aside and tell you a quick story.
Sure.
I don't know if I've ever told this story in the presence of a wildlife officer or not, but I was probably about 5 years old. I grew up on a beef farm, and Dad always carried a .22 rifle with him. We had a lot of rabid foxes and things like that back in those days. And we jumped a rabbit sometime in the summer, and it jumped up and ran and stopped behind a clump of grass. And he said, "Do you see it?" And I'm like, yeah. And he hands me the rifle. And that first time I'd ever held this rifle, I guess. I was 5 or 6 years old. So I got this rifle, and I'm doing this, and I can't hold it because it's huge, and all that. And I try kneeling down, and I try everything in the world. And Dad looks at me, and I remember this like it was yesterday. He said, "Do you still see it?" Yeah. I had no idea where that squirrel was or that rabbit was.
Right.
So I closed my eyes and pulled the trigger, and my dad goes, "I'll be doggone." And I killed that rabbit.
Wow.
This is the honest truth. So that was my first experience hunting, if you call that hunting. And I've been hooked ever since. And just I love seeing the youth get out and see that first hunting experience and all that. So that's kind of what pulled me into it later in the years. I started school at Tennessee Tech with Matt probably a little bit earlier than you.
Probably.
And I was a wildlife major, and somewhere after the first year or so, I switched to engineering. I just recently retired and wonder if I didn't make a mistake. Should I have stayed in it, So I don't know. I always loved the outdoors. So 7 or 8 years ago, I became a Hunter Ed instructor. John was at the class where I was certified, so that's when I first met John. And the rest is kind of history. I'm a 4-H shotgun coach. We started a 4-H team here in Chattanooga a few years ago. I've kind of turned that over to some of the other guys now. I'm backed away from it. So I've enjoyed it.
That's awesome. That's great. Tell us what about the history of this place while we got you talking here. The Highland Sportsman Club, it's an awesome area here, an awesome room. It's kind of hidden back in the woods a little bit outside of Chattanooga.
Yeah, it's a shame that we can't pan around and show this.
Well, we've got a few wide shots. We'll pan out and see so everybody can see.
Well, this building was built back in the mid-20s, I think. There's something over the fireplace, 25, yeah. And the Boy Scouts owned it up until sometime in the 60s, and there was a group of guys that got together here in Chattanooga for various reasons. They call themselves the Highland Sportsmen. And they bought this building and the surrounding land and renovated it, and it's been here ever since. It's a great venue. We got about 70 acres here. Highland Sportsman's got about 75 members, I think, at this point.
And it's hard to get in, I hear.
Well, there's a waiting list. Always
list,
a waiting list, yeah. So I was fortunate to get in a few years ago. And we've got quite a history with Hunter Ed instruction. I think some of the first instructors with the Hunter Ed program in Tennessee back in the 74-ish, 75 time frame were from here. They've got several that are in the Hunter Education Instructor Hall of Fame, like John. They did the first CD course here at Highland Sportsman. It's kind of a test case.
Okay.
And that's developed into the online course that we know today.
Well,
I'm about out of history.
Yeah, that's neat. That's neat to hear a little bit about that. And I know Matt was telling me you taught some classes here and had some instruction here, and a few stories maybe we won't tell on the air. But
there's been a lot of good programs come out of this area right here, and this group of guys. Jake's Days, youth programs, getting kids involved in something that they may not. Even from being in the Chattanooga area, maybe downtown, they're inner city kids possibly, and they don't get this kind of thing like we did. So they've really opened that up to some of those kids, and I've come here and seen 150, 200, 300 kids at a Jake's Day, and just had a ball. So it's been a really good program for that too.
That's awesome. Well, let's move on and let's educate the folks watching and listening a little bit about Hunter Education. And start out with the basics. Who's required to have Hunter Ed?
Well, anybody that's born on or after January 1st of '69 has to have Hunter Education before they can go hunting. And there's a couple different ways of doing it. So when you turn 10 years old, that's when you have to have it. You can actually be certified at 9. So like if you turn 10 during the season, you've already got that certification. But 10 years old is the magic number that you've got to have Hunter Ed. And there's a couple different ways to do that. We've got a traditional course that we offer, which is about a 10 to 12 hour classroom instruction, and then about an hour or two of field with a live fire and testing. We also offer an online, like Keith was talking about, course. We have 2 vendors that offer that. It's about $28, $29.
So there is a cost to that.
There is a little bit of a cost. We don't get any of that money actually. That's just a vendor that takes care of that for us. They do that online portion, print out a voucher that says that they've finished that, bring that to a field day. They cannot go to the last day of a traditional course. They have to go to a scheduled online field day.
Okay.
Roughly 2 to 4 hours, get their review, testing, and then also their live fire as well. There's also a couple other things that we do offer. If you're 21 and over, there is a Hunter Ed field day exemption that they can go through. So they still do an online course. It's a little different than the one that's for the younger students per se. And once they finish that, they fill out an exemption form, send that to Nashville with about $12 for processing, and they can get their card within a day or two, sometimes 3 days. And then lastly, say you've got a kid that you want to take out for hunting one weekend, and they've never taken Hunter Ed, they're not into it or whatever. We have what we call a Hunter Ed apprentice license.
Okay. Yep.
And they can purchase that for that child or that adult essentially.
Yeah.
It can be anybody really, and they can take them out for the weekend or a couple weekends. It's good for the year. The only kicker is they need to be with somebody that's 21 or over, that's either Hunter Ed a graduate or they're exempt from the law, like if they're born before '69. So those are some of the ways that you can get Hunter Education. Of course, on our website, we've got all that information on tnwildlife.org, and there's also we have an event manager, and you click on it, it'll go and show you all the classes that are available in your area within a 50-mile radius of your zip code or more, essentially. So
just like Matt was mentioning, our website tnwildlife.org. Click on the homepage. There's a Hunter Ed block that'll take you to the page where you can get most of the information or all the information right there. Find a course and all that good stuff. All these questions you may have, some of this information that he's covered is right there on that page. John, I want to turn over to you right now and just tell us about how, say, your Hunter Ed class would work, a traditional class, because that's what we like for kids and adults even to go through. the traditional class. Tell us how your class would work if they were taking it.
Okay, generally the traditional classes that I do are at First Baptist Church, Cleveland.
Okay.
Rusty Asbel, our recreation minister, came there at about 2005, and we found out he was, a camo pastor, and so we started working together. We have an excellent facility there as far as the church facility itself. We get with he has to get the church calendar, I guess, because we have so many things going on. So we come up with the dates in regards to the classes, either the field day or the traditional class. Enter it into the event manager, and of course it goes up to Matt to be approved, and we then just kind of get everybody lined up. I'm very fortunate that I have a large group of instructors. Some of them have been with me since day one, which is, like say 2005. I've had a couple new ones come on in the last couple of years. And it's really, really good because having that many, we can rotate a little bit. Some people can get, the time off, and I've got a new instructor coming. Well, he's not actually new. He's new to me. That is going to be coming on board here in about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And so this way we not only have the instructors, we have instructing the students, but we also instruct the instructors too.
Gotcha.
So
you got a lot of help.
We have a lot of help, and some of the instructors are around my age. No comments now.
Wise.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're like second and third, even fourth generation hunters. But they have been, from the grandparents, parents, on down the line, and they are in turn teaching their kids and grandkids how to hunt. So it's been a real good experience. We've had a lot of good experiences, a lot of good instructors, a lot of good kids that were involved in the classes, very attentive, willing to. The thing that impresses me, that are willing to learn, and they're sitting there.
That's
what's
great.
next?
I know you've told me some things, John, but what are some of the highlights of some of your classes that you do? I know you've told me some good things that you guys do actually during class, and that the kids really are involved with and like.
Okay. Well, one of the things that really catches their attention is tree stand safety. Now, Rusty Asbel does tree stand a lot when his schedule permits, and he will get the volunteers, about 4 of the kids as volunteers to come up to the front, and he'll give them their tree stand harness, their fall restraint system, and then he'll give it to them and say, "Okay, get ready," and he'll turn the lights out. And the kids are all tangled up and everything, and he says this is to illustrate, of knowing what your equipment is like, having it, because you're going to be putting it on in the dark. So make sure that you know exactly how it is. We also have had situations of the live fire exercise. Matt has worked with us tremendously on this. We've had like the 22s at the gun club there in Cleveland. But we've moved to a new facility, and we have an area where we can use pellet guns, little metallic targets where the kids can hear the ting. We've had indoor classes of where we have soft air pellets. And again, I got to compliment Matt that I can call him up and say, "I need this, I need that," and he's been very helpful in getting us the supplies and equipment that we need.
That's awesome. Well, we appreciate everything you do and helping educate those kids and even some of the adults that may come through your classes.
Well, it's been an education for me, too.
Always learning.
And then, not only do you instruct kids and people who need the Hunter education, you instruct instructors, training.
About 5 years ago, I guess, Randy and Matt approached me about, I guess it was when we were at Henry Horton, about helping with the certification class. And so I've been involved in that either at the Crossville 4-H camp or the one at Greenville, Tennessee. And it's a weekend. We start out on Friday. Start in Friday evening, just kind of a fun time. Then Saturday and Sunday is when we get down to business. And we have had some outstanding people that have come through the classes. To me, the person that is making the commitment to be a volunteer instructor is willing to put in the time and the efforts to not only being, go through to be an instructor, get their certification, but also to pass along that in regards to, holding classes or assisting with classes. So that tells me that the people are very, very dedicated in regards to the Hunter Education program here in Tennessee.
Exactly. The fact that it is volunteer. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So we have approximately, and I pulled these stats from the website the other night, but approximately 12,000 or 1,200 statewide, 1,200 instructors, right?
Yeah, pretty close.
And they teach approximately 500 classes a year. So we offer a lot of opportunity for kids and adults to go through the Hunter Education.
We do our best. That's usually the hardest part, is scheduling a class when the students can make it. Of course, typically our classes are going to be scheduled right before big game seasons, essentially. So August, September, October, those months you need to start looking for classes. That's the normal thing. We'll get a call in November saying, I need a class today, and I'm like, we've had 50 just a few months ago.
Yeah.
So and it's tough for anybody. Everybody's schedule is busy, and I understand that, but we try to schedule them that time of year, as well as in the spring right before turkey season. So March, April, those type of months we'll have those classes. But at our Hunter Ed centers, if you're in region 1, 2, or 4, we've got regional Hunter Ed centers that usually have at least one class a month, whether it be an online class or traditional. So, even if you can't get one in your county or a county over, you can usually drive, a couple hours to a regional Hunter Ed center and get a class normally. So keep that in mind, but always give us a call if you can't find one. We'll try to help you out as much as we can.
Yeah, keep checking that website and
Exactly.
punching that zip code in and search a little bit outside your radius, just to make there might be one not too far away that you could participate in.
Yeah,
and
right.
They fill up fast.
We have, they fill up so fast. What you're talking about, we have had people come to our classes in Cleveland from the Tri-Cities area and over Brentwood, Franklin area.
Yeah.
Wow.
About 3 to 3.5 hour drive, because everything is full. Well, this is the closest one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Want to get it in. Let's make sure I don't miss anything. One thing I hadn't jotted down here, and it kind of jumps back, but when you complete the class, you get a Hunter Ed card, and a lot of times people lose those or they get torn up or something. How does somebody get a replacement Hunter Education card?
Yeah, that's pretty normal right before season starts as well. If you've already had the class, little Johnny or has dropped it on the way back home or whatever. So the easiest thing to do would be to give us a call. Make sure that your information is in the system. I say the system is our online system that we use for licensing. Once we make sure that's in there, you can pretty much go to any online, get online and buy it, or go to any place that sells hunting and fishing licensing and get you a reprint of that. I think it's $7.
You're right, because I wrote that down.
Yeah.
$7. It's a Type 500. So Walmart or any of those, like you said, license where they sell licenses.
That we have.
Yeah.
They'll print you out one, and then you'll get a hard card in the mail eventually. But that should cover you, or will cover you until you get that card in the
And
mail.
when we mentioned the website, it's tnwildlife.org, and you can click to get there. If you want to go directly to our license selling site, it's gooutdoorstennessee.com. So
Right.
that's the closest, easiest way to get there. One other thought before we wrap everything up was Trapper Ed and bow hunter ed. I'm
Right.
sure some of that happens here throughout the year at the Highland Sportsman's Club. But how does those programs work? Are those taught by the same instructors?
Pretty much. We use volunteers again. We also have some agency employees that are involved in trapping or more into bow hunting. Of course, those aren't required certifications, but they are somewhat of a teaching type class. You'll learn a little bit more about archery, but you'll still learn about archery and trapping in Hunter Ed, but not as much as you will in those classes. There are some states, though, that do require bow hunter ed to be able to hunt there if you're going to go archery hunting. So that's the main reason we have those programs. But Trapper Ed is actually, in the last, I'd say 5 or 6 years, has become more popular, and we've been giving quite a bit of classes and giving the students something more to work on and something new to try, essentially.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I want John to read a story. He's got a story he wants to read and fill us in on, and kind of a testimony that he's run across and with his experiences in Hunter Ed. Anything else you want to add, Keith, before we get toward the end here and close out? We appreciate you letting us use this place.
Well, I appreciate you coming, and glad to be a part of it.
Yeah. All right, John, I want you to read that story and
Okay, this was an experience with Rusty Asbel. What I'm going to be reading was part of an article that I'd written for the Ray Review.
Okay.
Back in December 4th. It says, Rusty Asbel was in our local Walmart when a lady approached him and asked if he was the camouflage pastor at First Baptist Church. Rusty replied that he was. She said, "You saved my son's life." The woman went on to explain that her son, his father, and grandfather were sneaking along behind a pond dam stalking ducks. A duck jumped up, and the adults told her son to shoot, but he didn't pull the trigger, and the duck flew away. She said her son's father and grandfather were quite upset until her son finally explained that he had mud jammed into the barrel of his shotgun. In his Hunter Education class, the boy had learned that firing a gun with an obstructed barrel can cause the firearm to literally explode in your hands. If he had shot, the consequences could have been serious or even fatal to the boy and the others. She told Rusty that the class and his emphasis on safety may well have saved the boy's life. It turned out that the boy that had taken the class that I had conducted, he'd listened and learned.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's what my son's. I sent this article to my son, and his answer was, "That's why we do it."
Yep.
That's right. Hunter education, of course, is a requirement that a lot of people say we have to have before we can hunt. But the main reason we do that is to bring up safe and responsible hunters for years to come, and hopefully will pass on to their children, grandchildren, or friends.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys for what you do for the Hunter Education Program, and we couldn't do it without the real Tennessee volunteers of the state. So it's amazing what y'all do and the time and sacrifice that y'all give us. So anything else we want to add on Hunter Education before we move on? We're about to wrap it up here.
I think we've wore it out pretty much.
tnwildlife.org, and that's a great place to find the class and stay connected with us. There's a lot of classes out there, and like you said, those times of the years before the big game seasons are really popular times to take those classes, and a good time to sign up. So keep coming back, keep watching Tennessee WildCast. We appreciate you. Keep listening, keep joining us on the radio. Real quick, our new app is out. If you want to go check that out, download it at the App Store, Google Play, iTunes Store. It's got a lot of great new features. You can check deer in or check turkey in, all your big game offline. You don't have to be connected to the website or to the internet. So if you're out in the remote areas in the boonies, you can check that animal in and get the confirmation number, and you're good to go. And once it gets signal, it syncs back up. It's a great new feature on the app, and a lot of good stuff there. So we appreciate y'all tuning in. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate the Highland Sportsman's Club for letting us be here today. And we are going to roll out here, and we'll see y'all next time on Tennessee WildCast.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hey, it's all about Tennessee wildlife. It's what we do. Tennessee WildCast will be on the air again next week. We'll see you then.